Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. The time is 10:36 a.m. on the 15th of March 2026. Still feeling a bit drained and unwell and a bit under the weather, but I've just posted a video of the birdie boys playing nicely together. But Kermie, who is currently on his swing that he didn't want to go on before, started to get antsy with little Bo, so I've separated them again. And you know, if you can't play nice, they don't get to be together. And Kermie's very intelligent. He works it out very quickly that he's in the bird box. Aren't you, Kermie? You're in the birdie box. Yes, you are. Oh well, I needed my space, which is fair enough. We all need our space from time to time, but they do like playing together, and usually it's fine, but oh well, we all have our days. So I thought I would continue reading as I feel sort of kind of okay. Some Other Better Otto by Deborah Eisenberg. Yes, that's correct. And this is a short story from the edition of My Mistress's Sparrow is Dead. And if you happen to have the same copy, we're beginning on page 98. Just like William to suggest going away early for Otto's sake, when he looked forward so much to his concert, the little orchestra played publicly only once a year, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Otto endured the grating, preparatory practicing, not exactly with equanimity, it had to be admitted, but with relative forbearance, just for the pleasure of seeing William's radiant face on the occasion. I used to love to go to my daughter's plays and see her strutting her stuff, and really schept nachas, that's Yiddish for taking great delight in my daughter's talents, and both my daughters are very talented women, but anyhow, what can I say? It's a long time ago now. Time is moving forward, with or without them, and there's nothing I can do about it. But yes, I really delight in seeing people achieve and live their best lives, and the radiance that goes into their face when they know that they're in their flow state and they're performing well, whatever it is, whatever talent they are displaying in that moment. I'm not fond of sport, but I even enjoyed sitting at the park, over a month ago, watching the young men all kicking a ball around, playing, don't know what they were playing, actually, soccer, rugby, I have no idea. But I could see they were all joyous and radiant, and it's good to see people enjoying what they do and their favourite activities. William in his suit, William fussing over the programs, William busily arranging tickets for friends. Otto's sunny, his patient, his deeply good William. Toward the end of every year, when the city lights glimmered through the fuzzy winter dark on the Sunday after Thanksgiving, William, with his glowing violin, urged the good-natured, timid audience into passionate explorations of the unseen world. And every year now, from the audience, Otto felt William's impress stamped on the planet, more legible and valuable by 1 year. All the more legible and valuable for the 1 year's diminution of William's beauty. Yes, we might improve in our skills, but we get older and wiser sometimes. Everything has a paradox, does it not? How spectacular he had been the first time Otto brought him to a family event. That gladiatorial Christmas 30-odd years earlier. How had Otto ever marshalled the nerve to do it? I know the feeling. I once brought my friend Jared home to a Christmas event at my mother's home. Case must have passed on already. Yes, it must have been after Case had died. But anyway, my father and my mother were there. It was her home, and my dad was visiting. And they got drunk. And Jared and my children and I bemusedly watched my mother say, "Meow, meow," and my father reply, "Woof, woof," looking at each other and giggling, which sort of looked a bit like, is that how they made me? No wonder I like cats and dogs. But anyway, it was bizarre. It was so bizarre. I said to Jared, "I'm so sorry, Jared. I know my parents are weird, but I didn't realise they were that weird." And he just rolled his eyes and said, "Well, what can you expect from your mother but more weirdness?" Anyway, we kind of laughed it off, but he was a bit astonished. He was raised by very straight-laced, Well, his mother had run away from the Jehovah's Witness religion, but still raised very, very strict. And he'd never seen anything like it until he met my progenitors, to put it delicately. Anyway, I very quickly learned not to bring anyone home for Christmas, and in fact I stopped going for Christmases too. Around the time my mother gave my daughters what looked very much like pork sausages and tried to tell me they were chicken, and then told my daughters to bleach their hair blonde so they could find a nice Aryan husband. I'm sure it was a twisted joke, but I was not amused. Anyway, ghastly it was. But, she did have a very twisted sense of humour, my mother. It's probably where I get mine from. Dear goddess. But yes, I didn't want my children celebrating Christmas since they were Jewish and then being insulted on top of it. No. That was a bridge too far. No amount of Christmas or Hanukkah presents are worth it. Not worth the emotional torment, the delegitimizing, the invalidating, the insulting and the degrading, the humiliating, and playing happy families when there was nothing happy about that family. Even in my childhood, it was not safe, not ever safe. Anywho. Oh, one could say till one was blue in the face that Christmas was a day like any other. What difference would it make if he and William were to spend that particular day apart, and so on? And yet, this is the backhanded gift of trauma, is that no one wants to hang out with you for the holidays because you become triggered or morose or disappointed, or they just don't want to know you. Everyone wants to just be there for the good times, am I right? Let's just have the good times. war in Iran, potential threat of nuclear apocalypse, struggling every single fucking day. But life is beautiful, people of Earth. We've survived worse. Well, I've survived worse. Can't take any of it too seriously anymore. I mean, I do take it seriously, but it's just another rodeo and some clown show orchestrated by some maniac. You know, Putin, Trump, Bibi Netanyahu and other assorted maniacs. I wonder if they had parents who woofed and meowed at each other at Christmas time. Probably not. Might have kept them grounded in reality and kept them a bit real, actually. Can probably thank them. Thanks, Ma. Thanks, Dad. I woke up with the song. Well, I was awake for a while, but anyway, the song drifted to me this morning. Hello, Mother. Hello, Father. And my dad used to sing that to me when in the 70s when I was little. I hated being sent away to camps because I wasn't safe in my own home, and I certainly didn't feel safer being sent anywhere. I went to a health camp when I was 7 years old for my bad lungs, came back with a broken wrist. My much older sister, who at the time was 22, is that right? She's 15 years older than me. Yes, 22. Said to me, only you can go to a health camp, Tanya, and come back in a worse state than what you went there for. I just looked at her like that. Oh, they had no empathy. Oh, they were vile. Anyway, I was very traumatised in that camp because we were kept in little bunks and dormitories, and in a big dormitory, which was really just a big space, like a big hall full of bunks and lots of little children, including myself. And adults walked up and down between the rows beside the bunks all night long. I don't know why they had to do that all night long. And I, of course, as a survivor of child sexual abuse, all I could think about was they were going to come and try and molest me. They didn't. I broke my arm instead. But I remember not sleeping the first few nights at all, just lying there like this, wide awake, thinking, I'm not safe here, I'm not safe here, I'm not safe here. What a fucking childhood. What an entire life. You know, when that fire alarm went off at the dental hospital, with my mouth full of surgical instruments, and the dentist not really all that too phased because she said it happens every 2 weeks. But I did start to panic. I think I was really quite triggered with not just the vulnerability of lying backwards in a chair with your mouth full of instruments, but then a fire alarm on top of it. By the gods. Anyway, that wasn't the hospital's fault. It's just one of those things, you know. A series of unfortunate events that can happen to anyone. We were all forced to evacuate. So, anyway, we'll carry on with the story. Because life is beautiful. It's what you make of it, and I'm forging ahead as per normal. Due to get my hair done in a few weeks' time, and I don't know, I might get it to diet, just plain go back to grey, just stay being grey and accept that I'm an old lady. And although, you know, the blonde does give me a bit of a lift, you know. What can I say, people of Earth? 61 years old soon. It's astonishing. Right. How Otto ever marshalled the nerve to do it. I really resonate with that statement, because you did have to marshal your nerves to spend Christmas with my family. It was foul. Most of the time it was foul. Oh, one could say till one was blue in the face that Christmas was a day like any other. Oh, we read that. And so on, and yet. Yes, the occasion forced the issue, didn't it? Either he and William would both attend, or Otto would attend alone, or they would not attend together. But whatever it was that one decided to do, it would be a declaration to the family and to the other, and the fact was, to oneself. Steeled by new love in giddy defiance, Otto had arrived at the house with William, to all intents and purposes, on his arm. A tidal wave of nervous prurience had practically blown the door out from inside the instant he and William ascended the front step. And all evening, aunts, uncles, cousins, mother and siblings had stared at William beadily, as if a little bunny had loped out onto a clearing in front of them. William's beauty, and the fact that he was scarcely 20, had embarrassed Otto on other occasions, but never so searingly. "How intelligent he is!" Otto's relatives kept whispering to one another loudly, meaning apparently that it was a marvel he could speak. Unlike the further implication was the men they'd evidently been imagining all these years. Otto had brought someone to a family event only once before, also on a Christmas, with everyone in attendance. Getting hot, having a hot flush. Just put the fan on, people of Earth. Hello, madam. Hello, father. How's your precious little brother? Keeping them separated because they were being naughty. Well, Bo wasn't being naughty. Kermie was being naughty. Naughty Kermie. Kermie says, "But I am Kermie. I am perfect in every way." Right. Deandra Fetlin, a feverishly brilliant colleague, far less beautiful than William. During the turkey, she thumped Otto on the arm whenever he made a good point in the argument he was having with Wesley, and continued to eat with solemn assiduity. And then, while the others applied themselves to dessert, a stucco-like fantasy requiring vigilance, Deandra had delivered an explication of one of the firm's recent cases that was worth 3 semesters of law school. No one commented on her intelligence. And no one had been in the least deceived by Otto's tepid display of interest in her. "So," Corinne had said in a loud, and artificially genial tone, as if she was speaking to an armed high school student. Where did you and William meet, Otto? The table fell silent. Otto looked out at the wolfish ring of faces. On 3rd Avenue, he said distinctly, and returned to his meal. What happens on 3rd Avenue stays on 3rd Avenue, people of Earth. I have no idea what the implication of that really was supposed to mean. Anyway, love is love is love is love, especially when it's true love. I'm a great believer in love for a woman that hasn't been able to achieve real love in all her fucking life, except with my birds or my dogs and cats, but it is what it is, people of Earth. I will always be an idealistic romantic, a romantic idealist, something like that. Sometimes it was the only thing that kept me going, vague hopes of even vaguer love. Oh, the disappointment. Oh, the bathos. Oh, the tragedies. But on we go. I must admit, I've never had a 19-year-old woman throw her father at me before. That was a peculiar twist. But anyway, it was prophesied that I would meet my true love in my 60th year, and well, I'm technically in my 61st year now, and when I turn 61 I'll technically be in my 62nd year, so it's all drifting away. The potentiates are drifting away. I should have got off the bus with the young lady, but I just thought that would be weird. And you know, I'd just gone through a rather traumatic event being at the dentist, and I was just wanting to get home, quite frankly. So there, but for the grace of the gods, went I. Defiantly and sublimely. Sorry, he said, as he and William climbed into the car afterward. Sorry to have embarrassed you. Sorry to have shocked them. Sorry. But what was I supposed to say? All that completely fraudulent interest, the solicitude. The truth is, they've never sanctioned my way of life. Or alternately, they've always sanctioned it. Oh, but what on earth good is it to have a word that means only itself and its opposite? Oh, darling. Could be worse. It could be a straight, mature age woman who only ever attracted homicidal maniacs in varying degrees and varying forms of homicidal ideation, some physical, some psychological, some emotional, some inculcated entire groups to attack me. And on it went and on it went. I really thought last time, I really did. I don't know where I got that delusion from, but I really thought I was genuinely loved and welcomed and accepted, and that everything was going to be okay this time. What a fucking idiot. Me, the idiot. I was an idiot, I admit it. I was a fucking idiot to even get lured in and promised safety, sweetness and kindness. Takes my breath away. Still a year later, takes my breath away. But I'm not breathless, am I? I'm toothless. I'm going to be even more toothless soon, but I'm not completely breathless. Out there somewhere is someone worthy of me, toothless and breathless and gormless and idiocentric and idealistic and romantic. Someone out there will love me. That's delusional. That truly is delusional, people of Earth. But that's what my little Polish girl on the bus was, a signpost, a milestone, marker showing me the potentiates are still out there, Tanya Arons. Don't give up. To take my own advice I give to others, and don't give up. Right. Driving back to the city through the assaultively scenic and demographically uniform little towns, they were silent. William had witnessed his power over Otto had been substantially increased by the preceding several hours, and yet he was exhibiting no signs of triumph. On the contrary, his habitual chipper mood was, where? Simply eclipsed. Otto glanced at him. No glance was returned. I was just watching a police car slowly driving up the street and another Lexus coming down the street. It seemed a bit odd. Back in the apartment, they sat for a while in the dark. Tears stung Otto's eyes and nose. He would miss William terribly. It was a mistake, he said. William gestured absently. Well, we had to do it sooner or later. We? We did? It was as if snow had begun to fall in the apartment. A gentle, chiming, twinkling snow. And sitting there, looking at one another silently, it became apparent that what each was facing was his future. I was so grateful too when Jared didn't end the friendship with me after meeting both my mater and my pater and their bad behaviours. I was always so grateful that anyone was friends with me after enduring any amount of time with my parents and stepfather. They were often inappropriate and sabotaging, slanderous and vicious, both to my face and behind my back. But I survived them. I've survived many, many, many things that even blow my mind. Marvellous to watch William out in the garden. Oh, I was looking for those. Just putting my beeswax away. Start again. Marvellous to watch William out in the garden, now with the late chrysanthemums. It was a flower Otto never liked, until William instructed him to look again. Well, all right, so it wasn't a merry flower, but flowers can comfortably embrace a range of qualities, it seemed. And now, how Otto loved the imperial colours, the tensely arched blossoms, the cleansing scent that seemed dipped up from the pure well of winter, nature's ceremony of end and beginning. I always hated chrysanthemums and paper daisies and those other kind of daisies because they were my mother's favourite flowers. I hate the way chrysanthemums smell when they die in the vase and they get slimy and this acrid, bitter, almost coppery stench from the rot in the vase, and it was always my job to empty and replace the vases, so she probably didn't like the smell either. I have to laugh. But anyway, they can be quite bright, you know, the big yellow fluffy looking ones can be quite attractive, I suppose, but just never were my favourite kinds of flowers. But it's funny, you know, my friend Jared, former friend Jared, he always loved them too. He shared that in common with my mother, the same taste in flowers. I used to look at that and think, that's a bit odd, isn't it? But not really, I guess. Flowers have their own language and speak to people in their own unique ways. My favourite flowers are roses and orchids. Of course, I go for the more opulent types of blooms. I even had orchids in my wedding bouquet. I must say, my ex-husband did buy me beautiful flowers for the wedding. He did do that. They were exquisite flowers. Pity he tried to make a goddamn fool of me actually under the hoopah, deliberately stepping on my train so that it jerked my head back. When the wedding rituals were completed, practically every wedding guest just wanted to run away. They were so shocked by the abuse dynamic was there plain for everyone to see, actually. His father had died, 2 nights before, so I made excuses for bad behaviour, but I really should not have. I should not have. I went home from that wedding, sunk into a deep depression and cried for 2 weeks, grieving my father-in-law, who had been very kind to me, and a gentleman, and honouring of little old me. So my husband went to my mother and told her that I was useless and she should take me back. And my mother called me to a meeting at her home, my former adolescent home, and gleefully informed me of this. You know, I should have walked out there 2 weeks, a bride and already betrayed by both husband and mother. It is what it is. The flat little disk of autumn sun was retreating high up over the neighbours' buildings. As Otto gazed out the window, William straightened, shaded his eyes, waved and bent back to work. Late in the year, William in the garden. You can see he really loves William. He really does. How lovely to be loved like that. Where even the simple task of just working in the garden can make your heart bloom. I gardened a lot when I was married, and well, up until recent years I was forever in the garden. I did it as a way of avoiding them. I preferred to be outside with the beautiful trees and plants digging away in the earth. Infinitely more cleaner than anything I was being exposed to on a daily basis. The befoulments, the treachery, the contempt and the disingenuousness. That's why I won't do that again, ever. Ever, people of earth. Disingenuous with me, fuck off. Permanently. Stay far away from me. I don't need you. I don't want you. Even with a war in Iran, and I guess the supermarket will already be stripped bare, but I've got no money until Tuesday. Happens every time they do the hoarding. I'm broke, left without food and toilet paper. It's evil. But anyway, I don't even care now. I've got enough food for the birds to get us through for a few weeks. And I've got enough flour in the fridge. Fortunately, I decided to buy flour recently to make my own bread, and I'll survive, I guess. I always survive, just scraping through day by day, moment by moment. And when I thrive, I do the mosh, and it's a powerful thriving. They even robbed me of that, the jealous, inadequate, insipid, malevolent curs. Do I care? No. Can mosh at home for free. I haven't been moshing at home though because toothy issues. Otto bought the brownstone when he and William had decided to truly move in together. Over 25 years ago that was. The place was in disrepair and cost comparatively little at the time. I wish I had money to buy my own home somewhere safer, or by the sea, or start fresh, but I don't. That was another thing that was viciously orchestrated against me, keeping me driven into abject poverty out of envy and spite that I might make it one day. Fuck them. Yes, I'm watching you, handsome boy. Who wants to be in with Bo? But if he can't behave, he has to be separated. Right. While Otto hacked his way through the barbed thickets of intellectual property rights issues that had begun to spring up everywhere, struggling to disentangle tiny shoots of weak, drab good from vibrant, hardy evil, sounds like the will dispute, William worked in the garden and on the house. And to earn, as he insisted on doing, a modest living of his own, he proofread for a small company that published books about music. Eventually they rented out the top story of the brownstone for a purely nominal sum to Naomi, whom they'd met around the neighbourhood and liked. It was nice to come home late and see her light on, to run into her on the stairs. She'd been just a girl when she'd moved in, really, nodding and smiling, ducking her head when she encountered them at the door or on the way up, with intractable brown paper bags bulging as if they were full of cats, but tufted with peculiar groceries, vegetables sprouting globular appendages, and sloshing cartons of mysterious liquids. Then farther along in the distant past, Margaret had appeared. Where there had been one in the market, at the corner bar on the stairs, and now there were two. Naomi, short and lively, given to boots and charming cowgirl skirts. Tall, arrestingly bony Margaret, with arched eyebrows and bright red hair. Now there were lines around Naomi's eyes, as she had widened and settled downward. One rarely recalled Margaret's early sylvan loveliness. So long ago, though it felt that way only at moments, when Otto passed by a mirror unprepared, or when he bothered to register the probable ages, in comparison with his own, of people whom, so recently, he would have taken for contemporaries, or when he caught a glimpse of a middle-aged person coming toward him on the street, who turned into William, or sometimes when he thought of Sharon. And right this moment, Naomi and Margaret were on their way back from China with their baby. The adoption went through. Naomi's recent ecstatic email had announced adoption. Had the girls upstairs failed to notice that they had slid into their late 40s? Sharon's apartment looked, as always, as if it had been sealed up in some innocent period against approaching catastrophes. There were several blonde wood chairs and a sofa, all slip-covered in a nubby, unexceptional fabric that suggested nun's sleepwear, and a plastic hassock. The simple, undemanding shapes of the furnishings portrayed the humility of daily life, or at least Otto thought of Sharon's daily life. The Formica counter was blankly unstained, and in the cupboards there was a set of heavy, functional white dishes. It was just possible, if you craned and scrunched yourself properly, to glimpse through the window a corner of Sharon's beloved planetarium, where she spent many of her waking hours. The light that made its way to the window around the encircling buildings was pale and tender, an elegy from a distant sun. Sharon herself sometimes seemed to Otto like an apparition from the past. Excuse me. As the rest of them aged, her small frame continued to look like a young girl's. Her hairs remained an infantine flaxen. To hold it back, she wore bright plastic barrettes. It's going to be another long video, which I'll probably have to break up, people of Earth. Just letting you know. Because knowledge is power. We like to know what we're doing, don't we, people of Earth? Yes, we do. It's a shared experience, a symbiosis, an offering, a gift. Well, I like to think so anyway. YouTube's withholding some of my videos, so it's also a waste of my precious time and energy and breath, but it is what it is. A large computer, a gift from Otto, sat in the living room, its screen permanently alive. Charts of the constellations were pinned to one of the bedroom walls, and on the facing wall were topographical maps. Topographical maps. Hard to believe I'm born English speaker, isn't it? Ah, well. At Peking, I received a very good education in New Zealand, along with the bullying and the systemic abuse. I was well educated. Don't ever forget that. Would have been better educated if I hadn't been constantly attacked at university, but it is what it is. Why did he need so many things in his life? Otto wondered. Why did all these things have to be so special? Special, beautiful plates, special, beautiful furniture, special, beautiful everything. And all that specialness, it occurred to him, intended only to ensure that no one, especially himself, could possibly underestimate his value. Yet it actually served to illustrate how corroded he was, how threadbare his native resources, how impoverished his discourse with everything that lived and was human. All right, Kermie, you can be free-ranging, but I'm going to keep Kermie locked up because you've been a bit naughty today. You can fly around the room, but you can't piss off the boat. No, you can't. What does Bo say? You want to live with you? You want to live your best life with your birdie friend? He's not being very friendly. There we go, straight up on the Bo's cage. What are you doing, you mad bird? He's confused that he can't get into Bo's cage. We'll just see what he does. If he behaves himself, I'll put them back together again. Right. Sharon filled a tea kettle with water and lit one of the stove burners. The kettle was dented but oddly bright, as if she'd just scrubbed it. "I'm thinking of buying a sculpture," she said. "Nothing big. Sit down, Otto, if you'd like. With some pleasant vertical bits." "Good plan," Otto said. "Where did you find it?" "I find it," she said. "Oh, it's a theoretical sculpture, abstract in that sense at least." "Because I realised you were right." "About what?" Well, it was certainly plausible that he had once idly said something about a sculpture, possibly when he'd helped her find the place and move in decades earlier. She remembered encyclopedically her years of education, pages of print, apparently arbitrary details of their histories, and some trivial incident or phrase from their childhood might at any time fetch up from her mind and flop down in front of her, alive and thrashing. Like Christmas parents who say, "Meow meow, woof woof." Oh well, it was a bit of harmless fun for them, wasn't it? Bit of harmless fun. It was Christmas. No, but it couldn't be called remembering at all, really, could it? That simply wasn't what people meant by remembering. No act of mind or the psyche was needed for Sharon to reclaim anything, because nothing in her brain ever sifted down out of precedence. The passage of time failed to distance, blur, or diminish her experiences. The nacreous layers that formed around the events in one's history to smooth, distinguish, and beautify them never materialized around Sharon's. Her history skittered here and there in its original sharp grains on a depthless plane that resembled neither calendar nor clock. "I just had the most intense episode of deja vu," William said. "I've been having that a lot lately too." As if Otto's thoughts had sideswiped him. We are all sitting here, Otto said. "But that's what I mean," William said. "It's supposed to be some kind of synaptic glitch, isn't it? So you feel as if you've already had the experience, just as you're having it." "In the view of many neurologists," Sharon said, "but our understanding of time is dim. It's patchy. We really don't know to what degree time is linear and under what circumstances. Is it actually, in fact, manifold or pleated? Is it frilly? And what is our relationship to it? Our relationship to it is extremely problematical. I think it's a fine idea for you to have a sculpture," Otto said, "but I don't consider it a necessity." Her face was as transparent as a child's, or at least hers had been as a child, reflecting every passing cloud, rippling at the tiniest disturbance. And her smile, the sheer wattage. No one over 11 smiled like that. We're using the tea bag and the cup method, she said. Greater scope for the exercise of free will, streamlined technology. Oh, goody, William said. Darjeeling? Otto stared morosely at his immersed bag and the dark halo spreading from it. How long would Sharon need them to stay? When would she want them to go? It was tricky, weaving a course between what might cause her to feel rejected and what might cause her to feel embattled. Actually, though, how did these things work? Did bits of water escort bits of tea from the bag, or what? How is flavour disseminated? He said. It has to do with the oils, Sharon said. Excuse me. Oh, all of a sudden. You're trying to get into Bo. You can't, can you? Do you know why you can't? Because I locked you out because you were being a mean bird. He says, but that was ages ago, Mama. I'm over it now. Are you really? Are you really over it? He's running up and down, looking quite frantic. What's going on? You've never been denied access to Bo before. No. Not for a long time. Oh. Well, all right. We'll see how you go. You're my pretty boy? Where's my little boy? Right. It's strange. You really couldn't tell half the time whether someone was knowledgeable or insane. At school, Sharon had shown an astounding talent for the sciences, for everything, for mathematics especially. Her mind was so rarefied, so crystalline, so adventurous, that none of the rest of them could begin to follow. She soared into graduate school, practically still a child. She was one of the few blessed people, it seemed, whose destiny was clear. Her professors were astonished by her leaps of thought, by the finesse and elegance of her insights. And she arrived at hypotheses by sheer intuition, and with what eventually one of her mentors described as an almost alarming speed. She was like a dancer, he said, out in the cosmos, springing weightlessly from star to star. Drones, merely brilliant, crawled along behind with laborious proofs that supported her assertions. A tremendous capacity for metaphor, Otto assumed it was. A tremendous sensitivity to the deep structures of the universe. I'm getting a bit of a sore throat, which is a worry, given I just had root canal invasive treatment. I'm a bit sore under here. I won't be reading much longer because I don't want to get sick on top of all my other troubles. and I still have the tooth extraction to endure on the 24th of March. Dear Goddess. And then this one still has to be removed as well, so don't ask me how I am for quite some time. It's not going to be anything good. When has anything been good? That brief hiatus for 2 years at the Brooklyn Standard before it all fractured and fragmented and fizzled and sizzled because of other people's envy and spite. People of Earth. Well, uncanny. It seemed no more likely that there would be human beings thus equipped than human beings born with satellite dishes growing out of their heads. They want to turn us into nanobots, so I guess implant into our skin. Guess that reality is almost here. Oh, you're back in the cage, handsome boy. Oh, very good. You're being very good. You're my beautiful bird, dear. You're my beautiful bird. I'm so happy you grew your tail feathers back. Yes. They grew back quite quickly. Surprising. I barely noticed them growing back. They almost just suddenly appeared. Where was I those few weeks it took for them to grow back? Reading stories on YouTube. He himself was so literal-minded he couldn't understand the simplest scientific or mathematical formulation. I concur, I have that issue myself. Plain old electricity, for example, with its amps and volts and charges and conductivity. Metaphors, presumably. Metaphors to describe some ectoplasmic tiger in the walls, just spoiling to shoot through the wires the instant the cage door was opened and out into the bulb. And molecules. What on earth were people talking about? If the table was actually just a bunch of swarming motes, bound to one another by nothing more than some amicable commonality of form, then why didn't your teacup go crashing through it? Indeed. But from the time she was tiny, Sharon seemed to be in kindly, light-hearted communion with the occult substances that lay far within and far beyond the human body. It must be this tooth that's causing me pain in my throat. It was all easy for her as reading was for him. She was a creature of the universe. Bless. As were they all, come to think of it, though so few were privileged to feel it. And how hospitable and correct she'd made the universe seem when she spoke of even its most rococo and far-fetched attributes. It's a benevolent universe, if you choose to believe in it. Got to look on the bright side of life. Ha ha, ha 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 ha. Oh, the sun's come out just as I said that. You see? Someone, capital S, is watching my videos. It's stirring me up ever so slightly. The only truly pleasurable moments at the family dinner table were those rare occasions when Sharon would talk. He remembered one evening, she would have been in grade school. She was wearing a red sweater, pink barrettes held back her hair. She was speaking of holes in space. Holes in nothing? No, not in nothing. As Sharon explained patiently. In space. And the others, older and larger, laid down their spared meat and listened, uncomprehending and entranced, as though to distant, wordless singing. The music of the spheres, am I right? I threw that in. The music of the spheres, the Sephirot. That didn't do anything for me, did it? Only more torture and more torture. Those foul, fake Kabbalists and Freemasons with their filthy comments about my vagina. Oh, both those men are dead now. Dead. And yet, in spirit, had the chutzpah to come to visit me on occasion. What can I say? Latanya is very rarely forgotten, once met. I'm a wonderful friend, but a formidable nemesis. To the void. I bet you they could afford the best dentists in town, though. Weren't treated like a laboratory rat and insulted into the bargain by the professor, who wants me to keep stumm. Aber nein! Freche Kerl. I will die with my mouth open and my heart and soul and mind intact. The best revenge, don't you think, n'est-ce pas? Toothless in Brisbane, tortured and toothless in Brisbane. It's time I got out of this verkachte, evil shithole, but where can I go? Where can I go? Perhaps Otto sometimes consoled himself. They could be forgiven for failing to identify the beginnings. How could the rest of them, with their ordinary intellects, have followed Sharon's rapid and arcane speculations? Oh, by the way, I have contributed by putting my body and my tooth at her ministrations to the best specialist in town. By the gods, she better graduate the best specialist in town, my beautiful Valentina. Don't let that German professor oppress you, but don't be so obsequious and sycophantic, because the mama too knows that you were undermined in that process. I'm not stupid. I have as high IQ probably as you, I just didn't have the good fortune of good parents and paying for a proper education, a better calibre of socio-economic construct. Otherwise, I would never have been in this position. I want you to remember that, my darling girl. You will be the best specialist in Brisbane. Never ever let the bastards grind you down. And don't go silently into that darkest night either. To the one who tells his patients they talk too much. Weak. A survivor of the Nazi regime, probably only 2 or 3 generations back. Weak. But that's probably why he has survived. The oppressor and the sadist. Only the very strong survive, people of Earth. And they misinterpret me, misdiagnose me, misalign me, misanthropically throw me to death's inner circle. Ha! It's a cosmic joke and a cosmic yoke, and we've done this rodeo before. Perhaps Otto sometimes consoled himself. They could be forgiven for failing to identify the beginnings. How could the rest of them, with their ordinary intellects, have followed Sharon's rapid and arcane speculations, her penetrating apperceptions? Apperception, I haven't heard that word before. Apperceptions. Closely enough to identify with any certainty the odd associations and disjunctures that seemed to be showing up in her conversation. I'm not really that angry, people of Earth. I'm really not. I'm grieving and I'm tired and I'm sore and I'm healing. I'm not all that angry. What can you expect from fucking idiots that thought COVID vaccines was a good idea, for example? Tiny little lackeys of monsters higher up the food chain, am I right? Everyone too afraid to speak, step out of line and fight for themselves. It's why the world is the way it is. Weakness. Weakness. Kind of weak men that end up President of the United States. Piss weak. Getting us into war with Iran. It's ridiculous when you think about it. Better to not think about it though. Better to just keep reading. In any case, at a certain point as she wandered among the galaxies, among the whirling particles and ineffable numbers, something leaked in her mind, smudging the text of the cosmos, and she was lost. Or perhaps Like a light bulb, she was helplessly receptive to an overwhelming influx. She was so physically delicate, and yet the person to whom she was talking might take a step back. And she, in turn, could be crushed by the slightest shift in someone's expression or tone. Highly sensitive person. I'm one too. But we're not weak. We're attuned, people of Earth. Highly calibrated. Like a symphony orchestra, or the pauses in between each note. We express ourselves even in silence, Professor. In fact, be more afraid of our silence than our speech. Okay, me. It was as if the chemistry of her personality burned off the cushion of air between herself and others. Then one night she called very late to alert Otto to a newspaper article about the sorting of lettuces. If he were to give each letter its numerological value, the phone cord thrummed with her panic. When their taxi approached the hospital on that first occasion, Sharon was dank and electric with terror. Her skin looked like wet plaster. Otto felt like an assassin as he led her in. He really is an assassin. It is a form of soul murder. To be deemed crazy when you've merely had a breakdown, justifiably so. Pedophiles and sadists and sick, evil distortions in the field. It's enough to make anyone break down. I'm tempted to cancel that tooth extraction even though I have pain and it's radiating down my throat and down the back of my neck. Give them the satisfaction of treating me badly again. It's not worth it. Should just give up and die like a champion. Otto felt like an assassin as he led her in. And then she was ushered away somewhere. The others joined him in the waiting room, and after several hours had the opportunity to browbeat various doctors into hang-dog temporising. Many people got better, didn't they? Had only one episode, didn't they? Led fully functioning lives. Why wouldn't Sharon be part of that statistic? She who was so able, so lively, so sweet, so, in a word, healthy. When would she be all right? That depended on what they meant by all right, one of the doctors replied. We mean by all right what you mean by all right, you squirrely bastard, Wesley had shouted, empurpling. Wesley's correct about that. Martin paced, sizzling and clicking through his teeth, while Otto sat with his head in his hands. But the fateful, brutal, meaningless diagnosis had already been handed down. I got a cake, Sharon said. She glanced at Otto. Oh, was that appropriate? Utterly, William said. Appropriate? What if the cake turned out to be decorated with invisible portents and symbols? What if it revealed itself to be invested with power, to be part of the arsenal of small objects, nail scissors, postage stamps, wrapped candies, that lay about in camouflage to fool the incredibly doofus like himself, just as they were winking their malevolent signals to Sharon? Or what if the cake was, after all, only an inert tea-time treat? A cake required thought, effort, expenditure, all that on a negligible scale for most people. But in Sharon's stripped and cautious life, nothing was negligible. A cake. Wasn't that enough to bring one to one's knees? Very appropriate, Otto concurred. Do you miss the fish? Sharon said, lifting the cake from its box. Fish? Otto's heart flipped up, pounding. Oh, the box. Fish. Nothing. We brought them home from the dime store in little cardboard boxes, she explained to William, passing the cake on its plate and a large knife over to him. I had a hamster, William said. The cake bulged resiliently around the knife. Did it have to rush around on one of those things? Sharon asked. I think it liked to, William said, surprised. Let us hope so, Otto said. Of course it did. I loved the castles and the coloured sand, Sharon said. But it was no life for a fish. We had to flush them down the toilet. William, normally so fastidious about food, appeared to be happily eating his cake, which tasted to Otto like landfill. And William had brought Sharon flowers, which it never would have occurred to Otto to do. Where are you? Oh, okay, over there. He's not liking that he can't sit with Bo. Can't play nicely, you won't play at all. That's true of everything and everyone, people of Earth. Why had lovely William stayed with disagreeable old him for all this time? What could possibly explain his appeal for William, Otto wondered. Certainly not his appearance, nor his musical sensitivity, middling at best, nor, clearly, his temperament. Others might have been swayed by the money that he made so easily, but not William. William cared as little about that as did Otto himself. I wish I made money easily. I guess it's come to me when I most needed it in miraculous and astonishing ways, so I won't be grumbling about that, people of Earth. It didn't actually come so easily. Everything has a price, does it not? Everything. Even cakes that taste like fish, or fishy cakes. And yet, through all these years, William had cleaved to him, or at least, usually. Most of the uncleavings, in fact, had been Otto's. Brief, preposterous seizures having to do with God knows what. Well, actually he himself would be the one to know that, wouldn't he? Otto thought. Having to do with who did know what. Oh, with fear, with flight, the usual. A bit of glitter, a mirage, a chimera, a lot of commotion just for a glimpse into his own life, the real one, a life more vivid, more truly his than the one that was daily at hand. Was there something you wanted to see me about? Sharon asked. Well, I just... Powerful beams of misery intersected in Otto's heart. Was it true? Did he always have a reason when he called Sharon? Did he never drop in just to say hello? Not that anyone ought to drop in on Sharon, or on anyone actually. How barbarous. When you can't drop in on someone you consider a true friend that you've called brother and sister, when even that barrier is put up with against you, people of Earth, it's not barbarous. It's alienating and invalidating and isolating and marginalising. Then you realise they weren't really your friend or adopted family at all. You have to book an appointment weeks ahead of time, only to have them demur or sabotage. They're not your fucking friends. Trust me on that one. I used to like it when people dropped in on me occasionally, as long as it was after 10 o'clock in the morning and not after 10 o'clock at night. Because, you know, got to have reasonable boundaries, but anyway, no one drops in on me anymore. No one cares anymore. That's life. Just what it is. Your brother's here in an ambassadorial capacity, William said. I'm just here for the cake. William seems to be honest. Starting to like William. I'm often just there for the cake too. The insults they can keep to themselves. Let them eat cake. Fuckers. But I'll get better. And my attitude might become all sunny and bubbly and sweet again. But I doubt it. What a life. What an end to a life. Bitterness and alacrity. Acrimony. Treachery and debasement. What a fucking life. Fuck off. Well, it's true, isn't it? Young girls, young women on buses telling me they want to suicide. Get in fucking line. It's ridiculous. The trees are blooming, the grass is growing, the birds are singing. We have to reframe the script. Planet Earth rejoices, with or without us. We need to bring more love to the world. Hold true like glue, with or without you. It is what it is. Little Polish woman throwing me a lifeline to meet her father. Like a drowning woman fresh from the torture at the dental hospital, and the triggering of the fire alarm, and the failed to complete the task because of my deformed roots. For fuck's sake. So no romance wasn't exactly on my mind. You understand. Please forgive me. The gods do have a delightful sense of humour and cosmic comic timing, don't you think? Ambassadorial? Sharon looked alarmed. Oh, it's only Thanksgiving, Otto said. Corinne was hoping. I was hoping. Otto, I can't. I just can't. I don't want to sit there being an exhibit of robust good health or non-contaminatingness, or the triumph of the human spirit, or whatever it is that Corinne needs me to illustrate. Just tell them everything is okay. He looked at his cake. William was right. This was terribly unfair. Well, I don't blame you, he said. I wouldn't go myself if I could get out of it. If you had a good enough excuse. I only... But of course it was exactly what he had meant. He had meant that Sharon had a good enough excuse. Tell Corinne I'm all right. Otto started to speak again, but stopped. Otto, please. Sharon looked at her hands, folded in her lap. It's all right. So we'll stop there, and I'll come back tomorrow to continue with the story. It's a very long one. I reckon we'll get split into 2 more videos. But it is what it is, people of Earth. I feel quite depressed now. Not because of the story, although it did bring up some old stuff, but just in general, depressed and distressed. Divested of love and connection, affection, intimacy, true friendships that turned out to be not true after all. What kind of hellish hellscape is that? I'll never understand it, people of Earth. But it's a symptom of the times we're living through. Hollow ghosts and hollow men, straight out of T.S. Eliot's poem. I'm seeing it more and more, more and more and more. But I am not hollow. I am replete. I keep filling myself and releasing, filling and releasing, like an ever flowing fountain of creativity and at times bliss. So I bid you adieu with a kiss. Bye for now, planet Earth.